Faith is not something that is inherited, but diligently sought for by seeking God ourselves. Today is day 63 of the Seek Him First Book of Mormon Challenge. We're in Enos chapter 1, and Enos, even a son of a prophet, had to diligently seek God to find his own faith. He goes into the woods to hunt and ends up seeking faith and testimony. As he's praying diligently and fervently for himself and asking forgiveness from God to forgive his sins, he is told by God that his faith has made him whole. And as he felt that remission of his sins, it made him immediately turn outward, which is what faith does. Faith precedes the miracle, and when we have faith, we naturally turn outward and have charity. And that's what we see here in Enos as he's praying fervently for himself. He also then turns to his brethren and he prays for the Nephites and the Lamanites. And the Nephites are his brethren and the Lamanites are his enemies. And he still cares deeply about the welfare of their souls, even though they're actively trying to destroy them and their records. The records being the Holy Scriptures. So he is praying and asking God to protect these records for future generations, because the Lamanites in their wrath threatened to destroy all the records of their fathers. So he asks God to protect these records, and God makes a covenant with him and promises him that he will protect them for future generations, and that the plates will eventually bless his enemies, the Lamanites. But he adds on that it will be in his own due time. It's the Lord's timing when these things unfold. And this reminded me of the parable of the 10 virgins. And the virgins are all believers in the parable. And 5 of the virgins were foolish and 5 of them were wise. And when it came to meet their time to meet their bridegroom, only half of them were prepared and had enough oil in their lamp. Our oil is our testimony, and our testimony is something that cannot be shared. We cannot survive on borrowed light. Even President Nelson spoke about how we cannot survive spiritually without the constant guidance and comforting spirit of the Holy Ghost. And as I was thinking about how we cannot survive off borrowed light, and only half of the 10 virgins ended up meeting God, it depicts beautifully that we need to have our own testimony. We cannot survive spiritually on someone else's light. And something else that came to mind while studying these verses was a talk by President Uchtdorf, and this is actually something that I used in a talk about hope. And it talked about a 3-legged stool, and the 3 legs of the stool are faith, hope, and charity. And when we have faith, like I said earlier, it naturally leads to charity, which is what happens with Enos as he seeks for their salvation. And as we have faith and charity, it will bring us hope. And as we picture a 3-legged stool, it cannot stay steady without all 3 legs. And that is life. Life is full of uneven terrain and rocky surfaces where we really need every leg of that stool in order to be steady. And the recipe for faith is charity, and that will lead to hope. So when we feel ourselves lacking in hope faith, or charity, just remember the analogy of the three-legged stool and realize that they all come together in order for us to feel stabilized in our lives. And I think that Enos displays this very beautifully in his seeking for God. So let us all seek God personally and get our own testimony so we can be prepared to meet our bridegroom one day, and that he will know us and embrace us, and that he won't turn us away and say, I never knew you.